All right, guys, I just exited this trade at VWAP. I got in at 54.7750. So let's break it down. All right, guys. So first, let's get into my plan from yesterday. So I marked this level out. I'll show you this. So I was looking at this level here, 53.95. Right. It was 50% retracement on the fibs. It's an SR flip from this area here. Okay. This is a daily chart, by the way. We made a higher low. We had higher volume on the sell-off, and I like to use this 20 EMA on the daily to gauge whether we're overbought, oversold, overextended, stuff like that. So, being that we were far away from the EMA here, I deem that this is oversold, right? So, in my opinion, there's a higher probability of this consolidating or pulling back to this EMA. I went over this in a different video, but you can see every time we come far away from it, we sort of consolidate or pull back, pull back. Okay, see over here, we're far away, consolidate, get far away, consolidate. You get the idea. So that was my thesis last night when I made this, and that was 2:35 p.m. yesterday actually when I did this. So off of that level, obviously here we rallied like 60 something points overnight. So I didn't get any longs there, nor did I find a good entry at the open. But what else do I have here? So I have my levels that I had marked out, right? And I had this. This is a 4 hour supply at 54.79. Okay, and I'll show you on this chart. So see, I had this basing candle. It was a questionable zone because it's a huge zone. It's what it's 53 points. That's a huge zone. So I did break down a few smaller ones within it, but regardless, that's where it started. So in my plan, you'll see I said for longs I need price to reclaim 54.32, which it did, but that was overnight, so I couldn't do anything about it. For shorts, I need price to pull back to supply. So that's what happened here. And ranging environment is also possible. So yeah, that didn't happen. So the 54.32 was a major level from here, as you could see. So major pivot point here, supported here. So I wanted to see first of all what this level would do. So we reclaimed that and we rallied from there. So something else that's important is this is clearly a downtrend now, right? But we gapped up overnight. So I don't like to do gap and go plays, meaning if we gap up, I don't want to be long. I want if it is a bull setup, I want to see a pullback first. So if you look at this, just so it's clear, regular trading, okay, regular trading hours, this is without the pre-market data. You see we gapped up. So what I like to do in a gap up situation, I like to look for a resistance to bring price back down closer to the gap. Right? You don't always get a gap fill, but that's one of my I like to look out for that. Another thing that I like to look at, right, which is very important, is relative strength and weakness. Okay, so let's compare ES to NQ in this case. I like to look at which of the two indices are stronger, okay, between the two. So in this case, at the open, right, let's look at the last extreme. So over here, okay, this was our last price that was supported on NQ, which we rejected, okay. Now let's look at ES. ES is we rallied past that. Okay, so ES is the stronger index today. right? Some people will go off of percentages. I go off of the extremes. That's how I like to gauge them. Now, at the same time that ES was breaking through this last supported area, okay, and didn't make it there yet, and Q rejected that. So here's a rule of thumb that I like to go with. I'm going to write this down, okay? For a bearish scenario, I look at the weak index breaking support and the strong index holding resistance, okay? And opposite of that, for bullish, I look at the weak index holds support over or strong index resistance. Okay, you get it. Right? So note this down, and it's a very powerful tool. So in this case, bearish. Okay, strong index hold resistance. So like I said, at the point of rejection, right, NQ was lower, okay, was weaker than ES. Okay, ES rallied past its last pivot. Okay, so I deem this the stronger index. Now I have my resistance over here. It also helped that the same time ES pulled into this supply zone, NQ was rejecting that latest supported area. Okay, so that's a double confirmation there. Now, even without order flow, anything fancy, look at the rejection candle. Okay, volume spiked. Volumes. Look at ES. ES is even more beautiful. Look at that volume spike. Okay, and then we sold off from there. All right, so this was my entry on the footprint chart. So, like I said, we had that volume spike. Okay, look at us over here. 7,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7. On this push up, 21,000 orders came in. Okay, volumes here, push in. This was my entry on this candle close. Okay, 54.7750 is where I got in. And on the VWAP hold, 5 minutes, I did trim my position. My initial target was where we were consolidating before the rally at 54.65 was my first target. So I trimmed some here, and then I got out at VWAP with the remainder. So that's how that entry looked, and we went over this in my videos from last week and the week before. I highly recommend watching those because I talk about different things every day, so I can't remember everything to put into one video. So I highly recommend watching everything in your spare time. It's not a whole lot of videos yet, so again, you can see this clear volume spike. We pull back into it and sell off. I'm not going for, like I said, I'm not going for a home run. This can continue selling off back into these lows. Fine, great. I got my few points out, and I'm good. I'm good for the day. So that's how my mindset works. Is this is still an uptrend, and I still think that overall on the higher time frame, that we're still in bullish territory based on what I have written out over here. Okay. Obviously, it's just speculation. We'll see what happens. But to me, this looks pretty bullish. So now we got under that 15 EMA, and we're holding that. So that looks good. That looks good for further rejection. Now, guys, I just wanted to go over another example of what I spoke about earlier with relative weakness and strength. It's bullish if the weaker index holds support, right? So we got a small rally off of this area. So I told you how I like to gauge strength and weakness. So you can see our last pivot once again on ES. Okay, look at how much we passed it compared to NQ. Okay, from here to here is much greater than here to here on ES. Okay, so what support did NQ bounce off of? So now that I gave you guys that bullish context earlier, NQ pulled into fib area, and you see this consolidation. You could even say Friday's resistance here, SR flipped over here. Okay, multiple confluences in this area. We're getting a rally off of it. Now ES, right, being stronger, but remember I said for a bullish scenario, the weak index holds support. Okay. Now for ES, we also had, I believe it was a 1 hour. This zone here, basing candle before this rally candle, right to the tick. I didn't get that. I didn't trade that, but note it down. Note it down and try to implement this into your trading. I'm sure it'll help. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below.